What we see here is a y versus t plane, each ruled off in 4 units, so that we're looking at the region of the y versus t plane where t goes from 0 to 4 and y goes from 0 to 4. What we have is a rule. Okay, there's a rule that for every point in this region there's a slope that goes with that point. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the rule is, just accept that there's a rule, and right here's a button. Looks a lot like a domino, and actually that's what it is. We're going to treat this as a button. We press this button and we get the rule for the slope. If we happen to want the reciprocal of the slope, we can press this button right here. We start with a point in the middle of the plane, and we're going to construct a curve according to this slope rule. Now first we find the t-coordinate of this point. T-coordinate is going to be right here, and we find the y-coordinate. Let's turn this around, it'll be easier to handle. And we come over here and we've got the y-coordinate. Now, to the extent that we've done this accurately, we're going to make another assumption that we can press this point here and this point here, and that will allow our slope rule button to know what the coordinates of this point are. In this case, it looks like about 2.3 and 1.8 something. But we don't need to do that. We're just going to press here, and we're going to press here, and then we're going to press our slope rule button, and that gives us a slope. Now that button, you don't see the result, but that button gave us a slope of 0.5. So I'm going to use my slope construction blocks here. Again, a couple of dominoes. I'm going to put these together, one parallel to the t-axis, one parallel to the y-axis. And I'm going to create a slope of 0.5 by running this straight edge here from this corner to the 0.5 mark on this domino, and then I'm going to sketch a line segment. Now this line segment has a slope of 0.5. Okay, we can come out to the end of this line segment, and we can again sketch our projection lines. Press here, we get our coordinates, or we could estimate them visually, about 2.6 and 1.95 maybe. Press our slope rule button, and that's going to give us the slope. Now the slope I see here is 0.7. Again, you can't see that, and neither can I, obviously. I'm making this up, but if I run the straight edge here so that we move over one domino width and up 7/10 of a domino width, we'll have our slope of 0.7. And I can sketch a line segment that has a slope of 0.7. Now I can go out to the end of that line segment, and I can do the same thing again. I can determine my t-coordinate and my y-coordinate, which will be about here. Let's get that, and if I've done that accurately, when I press the slope rule button, I get another value for the slope. And now let's say the slope value is 0.8. Okay, I can line these dominoes up, and I can move this up 0.8 of a unit. Now I'm going to have to slide this down slightly. Let's try to keep the same slope as we slide this down. And now we got a slope of 0.8. So our slope here was 0.5. Our slope here is 0.6. And our slope here is 0.7. It's clear that we could continue this process and we would get some sort of a curve depending on our slope rule. Now if we start from another point, we could come down here and start from this point, and we could, I'm not going to bother using the straight edge, but we could sketch our projection lines, determine our coordinates here and here, evaluate our slope rule, and get a slope. We could use the slope construction dominoes to construct the slope. I'm not going to go through that, but we get a slope. We can then evaluate the coordinates of this point, or we can estimate, or we can calculate depending on what means we have at our disposal. And now we've got a new point. We can get these coordinates, press the slope rule button, and get a new slope. Okay, that line should have gone a little bit higher, but you understand the principle. If we've got a rule for the slope, we can construct curves that follow that slope rule. And we could construct a curve starting from any point. And we don't have to necessarily move to the right. We could start from this point and move to the left if we wanted to.